What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Bettor Sports Betting Show on a football Friday ahead of NFL wildcard weekend. I got Howard Bender joining me back here on Friday's show. What's going on, man? How you doing?
No, I'm doing all right, Servo. Got a betting article up on fantasyalarm.com. I got individual game write-ups for DFS purposes over there as well. So all the written content is there, and now I get to announce my picks here on the show.
Yeah, I definitely read through all of your game breakdowns for the DFS side, but for also, you gave out some little game predictions for each of the wild card games too. So wanted to check to see where you were at, how you were going to maybe be on the same page or differ coming into this show, going game bets or props for this game for these games. So yeah, if you have any of your own bets. Throw them in here on the chat here on YouTube, whether you're watching Fantasy Alarm or Bettor Sports Network YouTubes. We appreciate you guys always joining all season long for the NFL. It's been a fun season, and yeah, now we're into the wild card weekend, and we got a lot of games to break down. We're gonna go game by game here. If you have any of your own bets you throw out, we can go back to some games, but. Going to go game by game, see where each of us are leaning, whether it's game bets or props for each of these. So let's start out with the first game of the weekend, which is on Saturday, tomorrow afternoon. It's the Browns-Texans is the first one we have here. The Browns are the slight favorites on the road for this one. Where are you going for your bets for this game?
I mean, listen, I can't get it out of my mind after watching the Texans-Colts game in Week 18. It was a must-win for both teams, right? Must-win. Nobody's taking their foot off the gas at all. I can't help but just think about the 277 rushing yards that the Colts ripped the Texans' run defense for. And I look at the Browns' offensive line, and they've worked enough games without Jedrick Willis or Jack Conklin to know exactly what they're doing. They're one of the strongest rushing teams this season. I think they averaged like over 30 rushing attempts overall. I mean, per game, it was like crazy what they were going on last 3 games or something like that. In any event, that's my concern here about Houston. They're a great team. I love CJ Stroud. My heart is there, but I'm going to take the Browns minus the 2 points here. And I'm actually going to take the over on this one here because I think once the Browns do start establishing that running game, I think it's going to open up play action for Joe Flacco to hit Amari Cooper, find Elijah Moore downfield. David Njoku is in a great spot here. So for me, I'm going to take the Browns. I'm going to take the over in this one because I think Houston will be throwing heavily in that second half.
Yeah, I was going to stay away from this game from a game betting, but I do like your pick of the Browns here. That's the way I would go. We'll see if some more money comes in on the Texans because the spread has gone down. It's at -2 just for the Browns now. And if it does go down a little bit, like 1.5 or something, I might dive in there, look at the Browns money line because I think there's a reason they are favored here. It's as good as Stroud has been this year. It's still a rookie quarterback, making his playoff debut, and it's still a rookie head coach, in his first playoff action. And the Browns come in here. You laid it out offensively how they should have the advantage, but this is the elite defense in the NFL this year, and I feel like they're going to frustrate Stroud, who's he's been okay. He's been good since losing, Tank Dell, dealing with a lot of injuries in that receiving core. But if the Browns, just kind of pressure him and really frustrate him in this and, are playing with a lead, especially if it's like a full touchdown lead or something, I'd want to be on the Browns side for this one for sure. All right, prop bets for this game. I like David Njoku to go over his receiving yards for this, over 54.5 on BetMGM. He is having, a career best season here. Basically, been the number 2 pass catcher all year long. But with Joe Flacco under center, he has been a favorite target for Flacco. 6+ catches in 4 straight games now. Has had 90 receiving yards or more in 3 of the last 4 games with Flacco under center. Also has at least 55 receiving yards over this prop in 6 of the last 8, going back to even before Flacco was starting. And the Texans, as I saw when in your write-up for this game breakdown, noting that, I knew they had little struggles against tight ends this year, but allowing on average 64 receiving yards per game to tight ends. And Njoku, they rotate in a couple other guys behind him at tight end, but he is the pass catching tight end for sure in this offense. So I think he can go over this. I expect 60 plus for him to this week.
Yeah, listen, I think it's a great bet. I'm a big Njoku fan. I'm using him in a bunch of postseason contests as well. I like Jerome Ford over 44.5 rushing yards. Listen, I get it. They'll work in Kareem Hunt for sure, but Ford, he's been up and down on this number over the last several weeks. It's always tough to really kind of dive into these last several games of the season and where teams have been at. Cleveland had locked in their playoff spot. They had at least locked in a playoff spot, I think, even before week 17 even started there. So I think that the offensive line is going to open up holes. I think that this defensive line for Houston is getting a little tired and they got pushed around. So give me over 44.5 rushing yards for Jerome Ford.
Yeah, I like this one. I looked at him and Kareem Hunt's props, but I think Ford is the guy that's, between the tackles and stuff. Hunt's been getting, if you look at Kareem Hunt's anytime touchdown odds, because he's been the guy around the goal line at times. But yeah, with we know Flacco's not running the ball, right? This is no Deshaun Watson under center. So this is a lot of Ford and Hunt in that backfield. All right, so that's Browns Texans. Should be a really entertaining game to just kick off Wild Card Weekend for sure. The Saturday night game is Chiefs Dolphins, and I think we're on different sides of this one, but just to if people aren't aware, I'm sure you are if you're glued into the NFL world right now, but the weather is going to be a huge deal here because we are looking at sub-zero degree weather here with the wind chill. It's going to be like -20, -30. Going to be a very cold weather game for playoffs here in Kansas City at home for KC. The Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites here. Again, I think we're on different sides here. I'll let you lay out your case though for where you're going.
Well, I mean, yeah, the weather is the weather, and we've seen it before, and and people are telling me, oh, well, Miami doesn't win in cold weather. You know what? I don't want to hear it. Show me Miami cold weather games that it's win or go home, and Mike McDaniel is leading the charge. The Chiefs are a flawed team. I love the Chiefs. I love Mahomes. I love Rashee Rice. I love Travis Kelce. I love Isaiah Pacheco. This team is a flawed team, though. Like the pass catching, you think about this, all the drops that the Chiefs have been dealing with, the colder it gets, the worse that's going to be. So, I sit here and I look at this and I say, with weather like this, you got to go to the ground. You have to ground and pound it. You really have to assert that dominance at the line of scrimmage. And you give me Devon Achane plus Raheem Mostert, splash in a little Jeff Wilson. That's 3 running backs that you can just sit there and pound and pound and pound against the Chiefs. And I think that is, something that we're probably going to see significantly. Both sides are going to try to establish the run, but you give me the team with 3 established running backs who are all involved in the game plan. I'm kind of just leaning in that direction. So, I mean, listen, I hope that the Dolphins win it outright. You can splash a little on the money line if you want, but I think this game stays close enough that the Dolphins get, give me those 4.5 points. I also think it's going to be the under. So I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be the under. And, because what's the under? Like 43 or something like that? 43 and a half?
I think it's at 44. I see it on BetMGM.
All right. So 44. Yeah. Give me the under on that one for sure. I think we're going to chew up the clock a lot. I think we're going to keep it moving the entire time. And I'm just going to favor the Dolphins here with the points.
I'm totally with you on the under for this. Just with the weather situation, I expect both offenses to really try to ground and pound, as you were saying, just establish the run early for sure. And but I got to go the other way. I'm with the Chiefs on this one, and I'm not scared of the 4.5 spread. Obviously could be like a field goal win or something, but I just look at much has been made of this Dolphins Miami playing in cold weather games. Here's just a couple quick stats if people are haven't seen this.
Oh yeah. Feed my fire here, because when the public is all over some weather statistics like this, it's got to hit, right?
Well, you're on the side of it's due then, I guess. So we've been arguing against that all year.
I'm of the side of it's win or go home right now. And, listen, you knew it was going to be cold coming in there. So if Mike McDaniel didn't prep his team for this kind of cold, this kind of action, well, then that's on him. And then the Dolphins deserve to lose.
Well, on that note, I did see a quote from Tyreek Hill today saying that it's like talking about how it's a mentality thing. If you think it's going to be cold going in, then it's already going to be in your head and affect how you play. You just have to kind of tell yourself it's not cold. Like, don't even think about it. He said that him and a lot of the guys aren't going to wear sleeves for this game. So that's going to be fun for them. But here's some quick stats, because I just can't ignore this. The Dolphins, in their last 10 games, in sub 40 degree temperature games, 0-10 straight up. They've lost 10 straight now.
When was the last game played?
I don't have that right now, but
well, I mean that's a huge deal, man. I mean it was
probably in Buffalo or New England.
Was the game 1972? Was the game
No?
When was the last time that the Dolphins played in sub 40 degree temperature here?
Let me wait. I do have this real quick.
I mean, if you're going to quote me a stat, man, I need to know exactly when that last loss was.
That's totally fair. I'm trying to pull it up right now.
That's okay. Live show. This is great content.
Well, let me just talk while I have. I'm going to pull that up because it has been recently. Just to say that
you can look it up when I give my prop. How about that?
There you go. Okay. Well, real quick. So Miami sub 40 degree temperatures. This is gonna be sub 0 degree temperature. Let's just say that. But this is also Tua making his NFL postseason debut. I can't ignore that. Which is going on the road to a Chiefs team they got a home game at least to start the playoffs, and at home in the wild card and divisional round. Over the past the past 6 since Mahomes started for the Chiefs, going back to like 2018 or whatever. The Chiefs at home in these wild card and divisional games, 6-0 straight up and 4-2 against the spread, and all 6 wins have been by at least 5 points. Looking back at that, it was some of them are closer wins, some of them are just comfortable Chiefs wins, but I just think that the Chiefs being at home, I know they've had the issues on offense with the drop passes, but I feel like they're going to really establish the run with Pacheco, and he is going to shred this Dolphins defense that is now has lost a ton of guys. If people aren't aware of this, last week against the Bills, they'd suffered multiple injuries, and now this week they placed Andrew Van Ginkel, Cameron Good, Jerome Baker all on the IR. Two of their best linebackers, one of their best edge guys. They recently lost Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb to season-ending injuries. That's on the edge. They're down Xavier Howard at the corner spot. Safeties, their 2 starting safeties, Holland and Elliott, are game-time decisions for this. All those injuries on the defensive side, I also just cannot ignore this. And the other side of it is that the Dolphins, Waddle and Mostert are probably going to play, but they've been banged up, and we'll see how limited or not they are. But I do think like Steve Spagnuolo and this Chiefs defense is going to really game plan to try to shut down, limit Tyreek Hill. They know what he can do, and I feel like if they try to do that, and then obviously the run game is a concern for the Dolphins, trying to establish that. But it's the Dolphins team that while Tua has been there, they've consistently not performed against, winning teams, playoff teams. And I worry about that in this spot going on the road where, again, Tua's first playoff game for McDaniel as head coach, going against the Chiefs team that's done it, that's proven it at home. I just think this is a familiar spot for Mahomes and the Chiefs. Weather aside, I think that this is a Chiefs win by at least a touchdown.
All right. Well, listen, I'm not gonna. Yeah, there's no sense in debating it. You've got your pick. I've got my pick. Looking at
Yeah.
the props for this one here, Travis Kelce over 5.5 receptions. For me, I'm getting plus 105 on it from BetMGM. I mean, listen, if it works out the way I think it's going to work out, or if if the game goes the way that game flow wise, then the Chiefs are going to be throwing in the second half, and when it all comes down to it, he's got to look for Kelce. Mahomes has to throw to Kelce in order to make that happen. I mean, Rashee Rice is great, but the other pass catchers are all, a little on the suspect side. So give me the over on 5.5 receptions for Kelce.
Yeah, Kelce steps up in the playoffs for sure. I'm with you on that. I got to pull up the stat here. So the last 3 games that the Dolphins have played in colder weather games here, January 2nd of 2022 was at the Titans. It was a 34-3 loss. December of 2022 at the Bills, it was a 32-29 loss, so a closer loss there. And then January of 2021 at the Bills again, it was a 30-point loss against Buffalo. So this is the last few years here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is. It's definitely 2 of those 3 games against the divisional opponent. Okay. Listen, we'll see what happens, dude.
We will see.
I get it. I get it. You're on the side of the public. That's totally cool by me. I mean, listen, I don't see either one of these teams winning the Super Bowl this year, so I'll take my Dolphins with the plus points, and we'll just go on from there. Do you have what's your prop for this one?
Yeah, either way, both these teams have to go through Baltimore in the end. So
right, I mean, come on.
On the prop side of things, for the Chiefs, I'm on 2 picks here for Isaiah Pacheco. I'm going over on his rushing yards and over on his rushing attempts. 64.5 is the rushing yards, 15.5 is the rushing attempts. I just think that these cold temperatures, the wind is going to lead to the Chiefs leaning on the ground game here. And listen, tell me who wants to tackle Pacheco running hard with it being this cold. I just feel like this dude is going to be breaking tackles. He's going to be running through arm tackles. And I just look for the Chiefs to feed Pacheco a lot in this game. And with the Miami defense dealing with all those injuries, especially in the linebacking core and on the D line, I just think that's going to come back to bite them a little bit with Pacheco having success on the ground. Also, possibly down a safety or 2 for this game as well. But Pacheco, he's been over this rushing yards prop, 65.5 in 4 of the last 6 games, with the Chiefs giving him more work. He's had at least 15 carries in 5 of the last 6 as well. And he's had 100+ rushing yards in 2 of the last 3 games here coming into the playoffs and averaging 16 carries per game over the past 6. So give me the double dip on Pacheco's props, his rushing yards and rushing attempts for this.
Yeah, I can dig it. I think rushing props are definitely the way to go, and for this action.
All right, the next game we'll get to here, Steelers-Bills is the final AFC game here this weekend. The Bills are 10-point favorites at home here. Another game where it's going to be snow possibility, but very cold temperatures, wind potential as well. This is going to be another bad weather game. It's a low total as well. Where are you going with this game?
I think for this one here, I think I have to tilt to the Bills, right? I just, they're the better team. I can't get behind Mason Rudolph, and I get it. You're going to have some weather in this one too, and it's going to be cold, and maybe there's going to be a chance of snow. But when it all comes down to it, I think that, Pittsburgh is really kind of, they backed into the playoffs a little bit there. Yes, they won their game, but the Ravens were, throwing their second string out there, their third string out there. So, I'm not buying Rudolph. I think they'll try to run the ball effectively against the Bills defense. But overall, I got the Bills covering the 10-point spread, and I got the under on this one too. I think that they'll end up, I think this can be this is going to be like a 28-10 type of a situation.
I'm with you on the under for sure, because this is the bad weather game, obviously, but I just think that both offenses are going to lean on the run. Definitely with the Steelers, with Najee, as they've been doing lately, and James Cook being the lead guy, and just this power run game for the Bills. I do think the Bills should win this game. So I'm with you on that too. I mean, I think the Steelers just kind of like backed into the playoffs. And by the way, the total is at 34 now. So it has gone down. So your 28-10 final score is hitting the over there.
Is it 34?
It's been dropping. Yeah, it's going down.
Jesus.
So, but I still think this could be like a 17-10 win for the Bills, that wouldn't cover your spread. But I don't see the Steelers scoring much in this game. I just got one.
I might have to tilt to the over on this one then.
Oh, going on the over now. All right.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I think the Bills cover the spread. Right. So then it's just a matter of like, do they give up the garbage backdoor cover there or not? So
the spread is on BetMGM now at 9.5. So if you want to grab that to get the 10-point possibility of the win there for the Bills, you can jump on that. It might go back to the Bills side and go up to 10 again by the time kickoff comes on Sunday. All right, my pick for this game, I'm going with just a prop here, and that's James Cook over his rush attempts. Similar to the analysis I just gave with Pacheco, but I just think that the bad weather, the snow, the cold, windy weather is going to just result in the Bills leaning very heavily on the run in this one, especially if they are playing with the lead. I just think that Cook is going to get a ton of work in this game. I don't think, last game against the Dolphins in that basically, AFC East division title game, we saw Josh Allen take on a bigger rushing role, and in the big games, he's done that. But in this spot, I don't see him running as much. I see Cook just getting a lot of work. And the Bills have been a run-focused offense since Joe Brady took over as offensive coordinator. In the games since Brady took over as OC, Cook is averaging 17 carries per game. And he's had at least 16 rush attempts in 5 of the last 7 coming in this week. He's had 25 and 20 carries in 2 recent games. So this just points all over to Cook going over his rush attempts.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, listen, I love what's happened with James Cook. I absolutely love what's happened with Cook. And I think it's a much more balanced offense. And, sorry for all those Stephon Diggs fans out there who don't agree with the methodology, but it's helped them win. My prop is going to be a simple one here. It's going to be the low hanging fruit at -110. Josh Allen throws a pick. I mean,
this is cashing left and right this season.
I don't even know if I need to give analysis on this. Josh Allen's going to throw a pick.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't throw a pick, then he doesn't throw a pick. But listen, I don't even need to go into it now.
The only reason he wouldn't throw a pick is if the Bills only throw it like 10 times in the game. Right.
And even then, he'll still throw a pick.
He might still throw a pick.
He'll still throw a pick.
All right. So that's Bills Steelers. All right, let's go to Packers Cowboys now. Cowboys are 7-point favorites. The total's at 50.5 for this one. I'm going over on this game. I like the over 50.5. I just think that this is going to be offenses on both sides setting the tone in that dome, in the Jerry Dome. I just expect it to be higher scoring. The Cowboys at home this year, averaging a league best 37 points per game. The over's gone 5-3 in their home games. The Packers defense ranked 29th in DVOA this year, struggled against some good offenses when they faced them. So I expect Cowboys to have success on offense. The other side, I do think the Packers are going to just, be a little feisty here and really push the Cowboys to keep scoring on the road this year. Packers games went 7-2 to the over. So when they got away from Lambeau, their offense kind of woke up a little bit more. They averaged the 4th most points in the NFL this year on the road, 25 points per game. And the Cowboys defense, as good as they've been at times, they've shown some cracks against some better offenses this year, some better teams. So I think the Packers have found something lately with Aaron Jones healthy, that they've had a very strong run game, and it's made Jordan Love more comfortable in the pocket as a passer, throwing, his connections with Jaden Reed, with Datavion Wicks has all gotten stronger in these this last half of the season. And even though he's on the road making his postseason debut, I just think that he's gonna still do enough here to push this game over. So yeah, give me the over in this one.
Yeah, I like the over in this one as well. And I'm gonna back the Cowboys minus the 7 points here as well. They're undefeated at home straight up. They are 7-1 against the spread in home games this season. I mean, it's just, I'm gonna keep going with the chalk there, despite the fact. Shout out to my buddy Trace, who actually you probably remember Trace from he was my boots on the ground reporter when I was doing the Sunday night show. He called up the other day and was like, Jim, the Cowboys couldn't possibly lose, could they, Jim? Right? He was what did he say? He was like Jordan Love, Summer of Love. What was the Summer of Love concert? 1967. 1967. Who won the Super Bowl in 1967? The Green Bay Packers won the Super Bowl in 1967. He did this whole little progression, which was absolutely fantastic. But I'm not going to go against Cowboys, covering the spread here. I'm not going to go against the over. I agree with you. I think both teams are going to put up some points. But to throw a little love my boy Trace's way, I'm going to take the over on Jaden Reed's receptions. It's over 4.5. I'm getting it at plus 105. Jaden Reed takes about 75 to 80% of his snaps out of the slot. That is the weakest cover area for the Dallas Cowboys. Jordan Lewis does all of that. I was trying to explain this to Jim yesterday, that Stephon Gilmore doesn't move off of his side of the field. Or if he does it he's like 85% of the time he's on the left side of the field, and he's like 4% of the time, in the slot and 7% of the time on the right, So I'm like, they don't do shadow coverage there. Will that possibly happen? Did they pull Stephon Gilmore and put him onto A.J. Brown in that game against the Eagles when Brown was just destroying Deron Bland? Yeah, absolutely. But anybody can destroy Deron Bland if they've got some speed and they've got some, physicality to them. So, listen, I don't think that you're going to put Stephon Gilmore on Jaden Reed in the slot and blow up Dan Quinn's entire defensive plan. So I think Reed's going to get the work, and I'll take the over 4.5 receptions in a game where I do expect Jordan Love to throw.
Yeah, I think, the Packers should be trailing this one, and it's going to be just leading to more targets for Reed and others. I'm staying away from the spread in this one. I like the over, but I'm staying away from the spread because I agree with you. I do think the Cowboys should win this, and their against the spread record at home this year has been remarkable. But I also just look at these trends, and I got to throw these out for anybody watching that wants to maybe back the Packers, because since 1997, the Cowboys are 3-12-1 against the spread in the playoffs. This is now become a common occurrence that they just kind of underperform in the playoffs. And since Dak Prescott has been there, they're 1-5 against the spread in the playoffs in his career. So the spread may be a little in this game. So just, keep that in the back of your mind. All right. How about the Rams going on the road to take on the Lions? Huge game here. Stafford versus Goff, both playing their former teams, both playing the teams that traded them away in that deal a bunch of years ago. But Rams are underdogs here, 3-point underdogs. I'm going with the Rams in this game, plus the 3.5. I do. It moved to 3, but I do suggest getting that hook just to have a little safety, because I do think it could be a Lions field goal win, because they have a tendency to pull these games out by, a field goal win at least. But I do think the Rams are very live to win this game outright. The Rams have been just a better team over this second half of the season than the Lions, in my opinion. They're a team that's just trending up right now, the hot team going into the playoffs. They have the number 2 offense in DVOA over the second half of the season, averaging 31 points per game over their last 6 games. And this offense, I think, is going to go in here against kind of just a shaky Detroit defense that's let some good offenses put up plenty of points against them and just force their games to go over usually. But I think Stafford back in Detroit here, just a little, some added motivation. I just expect him to play well with how good this Rams offense is clicking on the offensive side. And the Lions are a team that We'll see if Sam Laporta plays or not. I don't think he's going to play, but if he does, he's definitely going to be limited, in my opinion. And I just think this Lions offense is going to just be. I think they could go through some struggles in this game without him because it's going to let the Rams really. I think they've been a top 10 run defense over the final stretch of the regular season, and I think that if they can limit Montgomery and limit Gibbs on the ground, just going to put more pressure on Jared Goff. I think they're going to kind of bracket coverage Amon-Ra St. Brown, force other guys to beat them. So I just think the Rams have an advantage going into this game on both sides of the ball. So yeah, give me the Rams plus the 3.5 here.
Yeah, I'm on the Rams also. I have them +3. It doesn't matter to me about the half point or not. I do think the Rams win this one outright. You're talking about Sean McVay versus Dan Campbell. I get it. What the Lions have done has been absolutely spectacular. I'm not going to detract anything away from what they've done this season. And Dan Campbell's a good motivator, but he's also made some ridiculously idiotic bonehead moves because he's too stubborn. And, he thinks that he, by doing it the other way is going to be the reason that it's going to work. And I think it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that he played his starters as long as he played them in week 18. He now lost Sam Laporta. He could be losing Sam Laporta. I agree with you. He could end up being limited. And the problem with that is that you're taking away a receiving target. You're taking away, what you're doing is like by taking away Sam Laporta, who gets utilized much more than just red zone looks. Brock Wright, Mitchell, whatever. These guys are red zone targets. These guys are end zone, big wide bodied tight ends. If you want to throw it into the end zone, fine. Laporta's a yards after the catch guy. Laporta's a legit player. And so by taking him out of there, you're either putting more onto Josh Reynolds or a banged up Jameson Williams, or you're taking Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit out of the backfield and probably utilizing him more as a pass catcher because you don't have any weapons out there. Amon-Ra St. Brown can't do it by himself. So I think the Lions are going to try to run as hard as they can, right? That's why I've got David Montgomery over 13.5 rushing attempts as my prop, because I think that's what they need to do. If they're going to want to win, that's what they need to do. Whether or not they're going to be successful is irrelevant to that. So Montgomery will get the work. But yeah, you're taking away a major weapon here right now. So I like the Rams. I kind of like the over in this one. I'm waffling a little bit again on this one too, just because, 51.5, it's a lot. Both defenses really need to struggle in order to really hit this. So maybe we'll see. 28-26 pushes it on the over as well. So I got the Rams getting and I'll sprinkle a little on that money line too. It's like a +1. I think it was like +160, 170 last I saw.
+140 now on BetMGM.
+140. All right. So I would sprinkle a little on the Rams money line there, but you can definitely take them with the points.
Yeah, we're both on the Rams. I love that. I'm with you.
Not me. Well, the public is too, so we're done.
I was surprised to see you
officially cooked.
I was so surprised to see you on the Rams since you've been fading the public on some of your picks so far.
I know, but I just hate what Dan Campbell's done. I mean, he's just such a douche sometimes.
Now we're getting personal. Wow. Okay.
No. Like his coaching style. He comes off as a douche. He really does. Like thinking that. Bottom line. All right.
Laporta did not need to play at all.
First and foremost, you had a 4% chance of making the number 2 seed. You needed Dallas and Philly to both lose their week 18 games. And both teams were playing tomato can opponents.
They got one of those results.
They got one of them, right? Yeah, but you weren't getting both. You definitely weren't getting both. So you needed both of them. All right. You could have done it. You could have won the game in Dallas, or at least given yourself a better shot at it after the penalty. You don't need to go for 2 after you just took a 5-yard penalty. That was stupid.
Bad.
That was dumb. That was like, what were you thinking? You legit could have ended up with the number 2 seed if you had just gone to overtime and won the game there. You don't know.
If they had the momentum, if they went to overtime, they would have had the momentum on their side.
Schmuck. He's such a schmuck.
That frustrated me too, because it was like, all right, he's just trying to prove a point by trying to go for 2 here because they just got it, but it was on a penalty. Like it
was stupid. It was just stupid.
I'm with you. Well, so you were saying how the Lions will probably operate on offense, whoever needs to step up now, and that's where I'm going with one of my bets. With Laporta probably out, it looks like he's going to give it a go, but I don't think he's going to play much, or his snaps might just be limited down near the red zone or whatever. But Josh Reynolds over 30.5 receiving yards, where I'm going. I just think he's going to be one of those main guys. Him and Gibbs, as you were saying, Gibbs used in the slot, but I think Reynolds for sure is going to need to have a better game here. And last week, after Laporta got hurt, we saw Reynolds have 5 catches for 44 yards. He just started seeing more targets, more usage after Laporta went down. He went through a midseason slump. Like there's a reason this line is low, because he has not gone over it a lot lately, but he does have 40 plus receiving yards in 3 of his last 5 games. So I look at that. And then the other huge stat here that I just went back and looked at Rams games, this Rams defense against number 2 receivers, opposing number 2 receivers against the Rams. 11 straight games, they've had at least 34 receiving yards, and they're averaging 49 receiving yards per game, number 2 receivers against the Rams. So this is a spot where I think Reynolds could step up, especially because I think the Lions defense or the Rams defense is really going to focus in on just, trying to shut down or limit Amon-Ra St. Brown. They're not going to let him beat him and have this huge game. I think they're going to force guys like Reynolds and Gibbs, these secondary pass catchers, to beat them. So, that's where I'm going.
I can dig it. You didn't even cite the revenge game narrative here for Josh Reynolds.
That is true.
Goff and Reynolds together again for the very first time. All right, we got one more game to cover, baby.
We got one more.
I know this is not one that you want to deal with, so I'll just start it off right now, rip the Band-Aid off. Eagles at Buccaneers. I'm taking the Bucs plus the points. I'm taking the under on this one. Now we're getting reports. We don't know about the severity of the injury to Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown's knee is still barking at him. Darius Slay, still questionable for this one here. I mean, listen, I don't love either pass defense. The Bucs pass defense has been atrocious as well. But if A.J. Brown is limited, then you're only really worried about Devonta Smith, maybe Dallas Goedert. I think I probably should have looked at some Dallas Goedert props, because that's probably going to be Hurts's bread and butter in this game. But I'll say Rachaad White over 16.5 rushing attempts, because I think that the best game plan for Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers is to just, run it. The Eagles have been giving up rushing yards in the last several games of the season. They've kind of worn down a little bit. There's, we're just kind of that tailspin that they're in. This is a tough tailspin to come out of, right? 1-6 or 1-5 in their last 6 games. And that one win was week 16 against the Giants. I mean, it's just not it's not fixing to look pretty good for the Eagles here. So, I mean, listen, they can win the game, Servo, but the Bucs are going to cover this spread.
Listen, as I think I told you on Monday's show when we were giving our little quick previews of these games, I don't expect the Eagles to win this game at all. I really don't. So I have no high expectations for this. And you, Howard, you've actually flipped on this, because I remember you telling me, don't worry, they're gonna bounce back. Don't worry about this.
Well, Monday. I haven't seen the Eagles do anything this entire week. I've been watching practice reports. Yeah. I've been listening to interviews and updates and everything like that. And all I hear is that, this finger injury, maybe I shouldn't have played this game. Maybe I shouldn't have done, when I start hearing that, it's not really boding very well for your Eagles.
Listen, the vibes are low, and there's going to be coaching changes this offseason for sure, especially on the defensive side for the Eagles. I feel like this team is kind of quit this past last few weeks. So again, I don't have expectations for them to win this game. I'm staying away from for now the spread or the total until we get some more clarity, because this is Monday night. So we'll have a show on Monday before this game. So I'll dive a little bit more. Right. and maybe throw out a pick on the spread or total once I see like, all right, what are we really dealing with Hurts, AJ Brown. But on the Buccaneers side, I want to get these two in for sure right now. And that's Cade Otton, double dip on Cade Otton, the tight end for the Bucs, over on his 2.5 receptions and over on the 21.5 receiving yards. Because the Eagles against tight ends has been a struggle for them all season long. It hasn't gotten much better since they brought in Kevin Byard and Shaq Leonard. They've allowed at least 3 catches to a tight end in 10 straight games now, and at least 22 plus receiving yards, usually more, to a tight end in 9 of the last 10 games now. So this is just kind of one of those tried and true pretty much every single week. They are allowing a tight end to have a better game than what these props are. Not a huge game sometimes, but these are just low numbers. 21.5 receiving yards, 2.5 catches. These are low. Even though Cade Otton hasn't been consistently putting up numbers, he's not a huge part of the passing game. But he does have at least 30 receiving yards in 7 of the last 11 games, and he has at least 2 catches in 10 of the last 11. So he's been hovering right around these props anyway. But I think the matchup for sure just kind of points for him just going over both these.
All right, attacking the Eagles defense with the tight end.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Been bread and butter all year long. So, all right. I mean, listen, we can rethink our Monday Night Football takes. We'll see what happens with the news cycle over the weekend. But other games all locked in. Yeah,
we would definitely get the Saturday, Sunday games locked in. But on Monday's show, we'll kind of review these, but also we'll dive a little bit more deeper into Eagles Bucks for that Monday night playoff game. So should be fun, man. Howard, thanks for joining in here on a Friday. I know you've been a busy man over at Fantasy Alarm, Bettor Sports Network, but I appreciate you joining in here to talk some ball, to talk some football for this wild card weekend, man.
Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. Come on. Football season does not end until the Super Bowl is over. So I'll be here every Friday until.
And then it starts up for next year. So
I won't be around.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'll be dead by that point.
I hope not. We need your takes.
All
right. So
I have to walk my fat ass into some oncoming traffic.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. All right. Appreciate everyone tuning in on a Friday here. Good luck to all of your own bets you got going this weekend in any sport, not just NFL. Again, we'll be back on Monday to talk some more Eagles Bucks and kind of review all this. 2 p.m. Eastern is the new start time for the show, if you haven't noticed that. Coming up later tonight, 5 p.m. Eastern is the NBA DFS live show with Pemba and Grande. So jump in there, get your NBA DFS advice for tonight's slate. That's about it for us. We'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good weekend. Good luck with all your bets, and we'll see you guys later.